Science versus the supernatural. It sounds like a movie title, but in reality, it's part of my story. Tonight, you'll get a better understanding of the science part of my story, but for the supernatural, its intention towards us is unconditional love for every soul in the universe. So for that being said, let's begin. When we hear the word energy, what comes to mind? Nuclear, thermal, electrical. Science shows us there's many different forms of natural energy that we use here on Earth. But what if there was a different form of energy? A universal type of energy, or soul energy. To make better sense of what I'm trying to share with you, I have to take you back in time to December 1993. I was 29 years old, and I was just recently diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, a form of cancer that affects the lymphatic system in our bodies, which is our immune system. With several meetings with an oncologist and many discussions with my fiance, I decided to put my faith into medical science in hoping that the treatments could put me back into remission. After 7 months of the most intense and aggressive chemotherapy treatments, there was no change with my condition, which meant that treatment wasn't working. And there was nothing left that they can do medically to save my life. So all I can do is to go home and live out whatever time I had left. You see, I was diagnosed with one of the worst lymphomas, T-cell lymphoma. Now, it would have been better if it was B-cell. Chances of survival are greater. But our T cells are our cancer fighters. We need those to kill off the cancer cells. But for me, my T cells were infected with the cancer cells, which means I have nothing to fight with. And eventually, the cancer cells will spread out through my body, and my body will expire, and I will be dead. So there was nothing left that I can do. I knew death was close, but at least I had an opportunity to go home and see my family, my friends, and get ready to prepare my end. One mid-September night in '94, I was getting ready for bed like every other night, but this night was going to be different. This was going to be the night that I died. I was lying in bed, and I could hear a woman's voice calling me. Her voice was beautiful. It was just full of love in it, a voice of an angel. And I looked up towards the ceiling and saw these 3 lights of energy piercing down towards me, and I could feel myself reaching, but I was actually floating out of my body towards these 3 lights. And all I felt was unconditional love, like you knew that everything was going to be all right. And I remember turning around, I could see myself lying in bed beside my fiance, and I realized that I was dead. And I didn't want to go back because I went through 7 months of so much pain in the hospital. And not from the cancer, but from the treatment. And I was so tired of the pain and the suffering. I just wanted peace. And what I was feeling from these 3 lights of energy was the most incredible feeling. It was like connecting to my soul, energy on energy. And then in the next moment, through the consciousness, a voice spoke to me, and it said that I had to go back and finish my purpose. And to be honest with you, I had no idea what my purpose was supposed to be or what I was supposed to do. And again, part of me didn't want to go back. And then at the next moment, I could feel myself falling. The 3 lights of energy had disconnected from me, and I could feel myself falling at light speed through space and time, back into my body, back into the physical world. I remember stretching out of bed and putting my 2 hands on my chest, and a gasp of air came through my lungs. It was so loud that it woke up my fiance, and she thought I was having a heart attack. And I tried to explain to her what I just experienced, but she didn't want to hear it. And I remember lying in bed, staring at the ceiling for hours, wondering if those lights were going to come back, but they never did. But maybe one day, they will return. 2 weeks later was the strangest thing. I was back in the hospital, and the cancer throughout my body was now dead. And this was medically and scientifically impossible, and the medical staff had no answers. When I was a child growing up, I had many experiences with the paranormal and the supernatural, and I believe it was the universe preparing me for what was about to come. And let me tell you, something big was coming. 17 years later, I was in my basement. It was December 2011, and I was working on my book. That energy that took me from my body in 1994 came back to see me in my basement, and this time I captured it on video. And it stayed in my basement for 6 months. Over time, I captured more of these anomalies through video, audio, pictures, trying to understand what the universe was trying to show me, and how was I going to share this with others. It was a difficult time, but I knew that I wasn't ready to share it the way it needed to be shared. Now I can tell you 9 years later, I stand here before you, and I'm ready. In the near future, my life story will be out to the world, and it will be a roadmap to help lost souls to find their way back to the light. My life story has one message, 3 words: don't give up. And as I close this out, I want to share with you my 3 life lessons that I live with every day of my life. 1, love yourself, because no one will love you the way you need to be loved. 2, forgive yourself. We tend to forgive others, but when we make a mistake, we hold on to it, and that is the true cancer that will kill you inside. And 3, let it go, because if you can let it go, you will grow, where you will always be in the light, where you will always have sight. Thank you.